Hi everyone, and welcome to our channel Finish Strong, for those of us who have gone past 50. In these videos, we talk about three main things, and that is how we can rise above our circumstances and rewrite our last chapter. How to renew our mindsets and start this new season with purpose. Because I'm sure everybody that's after 50 has had some setbacks, and we need to reset and make the most of what we have left. And the third thing is how to build strength and wisdom to finish strong. I heard a very good quote the other day, and it went like this: as you age, your weapon is your wisdom. And I thought that was quite smart, because we need to get wise and strong, but that becomes our strength, is our wisdom. As we get older and move to the end of our careers, or start handing over more of our businesses and get help and start looking at actually how you want to finish. Like, what are you going to do with those last years? The years, I find that as we get older, the years go quicker, the weeks go quicker, the weekends are gone so fast. You know, we're enjoying what we're doing and the time just goes by. And how do we optimize that and make the most out of what we have left? So the question today, will you survive? And that we've been asking that with our colleagues and over the last few months, and it's quite an important question. And it actually arose because I went on holiday to Mykonos, and they had a very nice steam bath, and you know, it's like monsieur, where you can go and get a massage and everything. And I went and got into the bathroom, and I had a cold plunge, which was quite festive, after I'd had a steam bath. So I got out the cold plunge, and it was very cold, and I was reached for my towel, and I fell on those towels. I fell hard. And you know, you come out of the cold plunge, you haven't got many clothes on. It was a bit embarrassing, but luckily no one was there, because that would have been, you know, lying on the floor. I came down hard on my hip, on my arm, my shoulder, and I got up and I thought, but I'm okay. It was quite funny, because lying there, you know, on the floor in the bathroom wasn't great. But I got up and I thought, I'm not hurt, because I landed really hard on my hip. And I thought, you know, I've been doing gym and weight training most of my life. And I thought, if I hadn't trained so hard, and you know, obviously we try and build some muscle mass, which is never easy, and it gets harder and harder. But would I have survived that fall? And a lot of people said, no, you wouldn't have, because you would have cracked your hip or cracked your shoulder or your elbow or something, and you would have been really set back. You can't train when you're injured. You can't really be mobile. You can't get around properly. And I thought, you know, luckily I have been training, and I've always done sport and trained very hard. So I actually survived that fall quite easy after quite a hectic fall onto the hard tile. So after the embarrassment of the whole thing, I realized that not everybody will survive that. And it's quite hectic when you start losing health and bone density and muscle mass. And if you fall on stairs, I also fell on stairs a few years back, and I fell on my butt, and I also survived that without any injury. And I thought that's a reason to actually train. So if you do get injured, you can recover a little bit quicker, or you'll survive the injury. There have been a few of us over 50 that have fallen, and the ones that have got good muscle mass have actually been fine. And the ones that don't actually end up knocking their heads or really hurting themselves. And it's, you know, they say, I was in the hospital visiting some people the other day, and the doctor said the most dangerous place in the house, I don't know if you can all guess which room it is. It's the bathroom, because there were a lot of older men lying some in comas, some unconscious. And I said, what has happened to these old guys? And some of them, they were 70 or 80, they're a bit older. He said to me, they all fell in the shower. Like there were 3 or 4 guys there, and they said, no, they all fell in the shower and hit their heads, and they got bleeding on the brain, or they had coma or something. And I thought, but that's how to end? I mean, are they going to recover? And the doctor just said, well, we hope so. And that also made me think, this is quite a hectic situation. Like, be careful in the bathroom, maybe put some anti-skid stuff on the floor or something. But to think that's such a dangerous place, because think of the sharp edges, the hard tiles, and it's very slippery, obviously. So I think all of us have to be careful in the bathroom. Like, don't wipe out. And I must say, I learned my lesson. I'll focus more next time. But the question is, can you survive a fall? And sometimes, you know, we used to train to fall. We used to train that sometimes When you some sports, you got to fall down, like in rugby and certain things, and the parachuting we did, you got to learn to fall. And I think that helped. So anyway, that was the first question. The next question is, financially, will you survive? And that's such a heavy question, because a lot of people say, well, I don't know. You get to retirement age. Do you really have enough funding? Is the money multiplied enough, or have you saved enough? And it's like, invariably, no. Have you got any assets paid off? Have you got a business that you could sell? Anything like that? What does your balance sheet look like? Especially if you've been through a divorce and lost more than half your assets, then you actually have a step back in life. So it's a difficult question, because everybody's going to be different. Like, where are you going to live? And I'm thinking now, I stay in Johannesburg. Do I want to live in Johannesburg for the rest of my life? And I can't answer that right now. I don't know. I'm very happy at the moment where we stay and what we do. We have a few businesses, and it's going well. But it's never easy, let me say that. But where do you want to end up? And do you want to go to the coast? Because I was in Cape Town the other day, and the prices have really escalated beyond any reasonable man's thinking. It's gone crazy in Cape Town, the prices there in the garden route. So where do you want to stay? Can you afford? Some people from Joburg have gone to Cape Town and realized they came back, because what they thought they could buy for was actually a deposit in Cape Town. And where else in the world would you like to go? I think we're in a good place here in South Africa. But the question I'm saying is, will you survive financially? And what's the outcome? Where are you going to end up? And it's like the last 5 years. COVID was 5 years ago. And if you think how fast time goes, then the next 5 years is we're going to be more senior, and whether we like it or not. And where are you going to position yourself in those years to do the best that you can and optimize your life? So that's financially. The other one, just a few questions today, is emotionally. Now, I've had family members die, and it's traumatic, and it can really hurt you hectically, and you've got to survive that. And how do you get through that? And I don't know all the answers. I'm just saying you've got to go and get counsel, and you've got to through the process ask the Lord for help and pray about it and get good people around you. I think that helped me. But will you survive emotionally? It can be very stressful. And spiritually, are you honoring God? I think if you're alive, you still have purpose. Okay, so let's say that if you're still alive, you have a purpose on this life, in this world. Then ask the Lord, what is your purpose? And let Him help you and guide you. And I'll say, Lord, direct my path. Now keep us safe, give us wisdom and insight, but also direct our path. Because when you're on the Lord's path, things go a lot better than when you're on your own mission. I've tried a few things on my own, it didn't really work out that well. But when I'm on the Lord's path, it's gone quite well. And then things start working. So I think that's something we have to all question as we get older. That you're still alive, you have a purpose, what is that purpose? And we have to sometimes read, investigate, go to church, go to pray about it. And it's good questions anyway. The next thing is, medically, we spoke about, are you training? And I think, everybody talks, if you go to social media, everyone's talking about eat more protein. Yeah, we know that, train harder. But are you in a routine? Are you training almost every day, at least 5, maybe more times a week? Are you walking? Are you doing when last did you run? But some resistance training is priority. We have to. I don't know how you're going to survive if you don't do resistance training, because that's going to give you that extra edge when you fall or when you want to heal. And getting injured puts you back. I've been injured last year, and it really put me back. It takes months to heal, where when you're younger, it's not really an issue. You heal fast. So be careful about injury. Be careful about falling off a bike. Be careful about falling in the bathroom, falling down the stairs, picking up something you shouldn't, or not warming up before you train. So I think medically, get your checkups. I encourage all my friends and my network, we go every year to get a checkup, especially when you get older. What is your prostate PSA? What is your blood count? What is your cholesterol? All those things. And then mentally, are we going to be able to remember? I'm seeing now that I've got to put some checks and balances in place, because sometimes I forget a few things. And I think as we get older, it's a natural process. Are you sharpening the axe? Are you reading? Are you learning something? Because I find when I'm working flat out, you got to think, you got to plan, you got to know where you are in an order. When you get orders, when you do consulting, when you're doing work, you got to know where you are, and you got to plan and keep things together. So mentally, will we survive? And I think the more you train and the less you pull back on inflammation, in other words, cut back inflammation in your body, your chances of having a healthy brain and being cognitively healthy is much better. So unfortunately, we have to cut alcohol and bad food, because that creates inflammation. Alcohol is poison. Whether we like it or not, we have to cut back on that. So I know some people are going to say they won't. Well, I'm saying, think about your health, think about your longevity. How long do you want to be able to function on this earth and still work and still be able to earn? I think the way we earn changes, the way we work changes. And I think now with AI, AI can do a lot of foundational work that we do, a lot of basic work, a lot of repetitive work through automation and AI. And I suggest we all learn that. We've been on quite a learning mission. And it can take, you may be able to save a staff member, you may be able to do some of the foundational admin work using automation. That'll help you, and you can become more strategic. So your ideation and your creativity can be helped by building a foundation on what you get from AI. But then, can you become more strategic and get like a team around you? That would help as you age, okay? And then, just the last point is, will you survive technology? Will you survive the changing environment, especially digitally? I've been trying to train and learn and do more, I'm doing a few exams and still learning. But digitally, everything is changing. Every single business is going to be using some digital platform or some AI agentic bot or something. It's quite amazing what it can do. So we mustn't be fearful of this. So my encouragement to you, the aging population, where I fall part of that, is by learning new skills and by understanding what's changing and how to use different tools like Microsoft and Google and Gemini and the new ChatGPT 5 and certain things that have come out. They're really pretty cool, and they've got AI. I find that a lot of the tools we're using have got AI built in already. So you can already go into the tools you're using and you can see that maybe they're still in beta, but they've got certain AI agents that you can build, which is non-code, which is actually very helpful. So I think that's the question. Just ask yourself today is, will you survive getting older? Will you be able to optimize and actually enjoy every day and have a good life? You may have to change a few things. We don't need big fancy cars. We don't need any debt. I think as you age, no debt. Debt is like a poison that'll hurt you because we don't have time. We haven't got time to pay interest and long debt and stories. So be careful what you purchase and what you finance. But as we've spoken before, it's probably a good thing to run your life out of a business and be tax efficient. But I think that's it for today. So ask yourself a few questions about how you will survive as you get older. And then my advice is to put some sort of strategy together and mindset around that to see, well, what am I going to do this year? What am I going to do next year? How am I going to package my work and my business and my income, my investments? Where am I going to position myself? It's questions that I'm really asking myself because I know in 5 or 10 years' time, I'm going to be a lot more senior. I need to start getting prepared for that. And just I want to enjoy every day. And I just want to encourage everyone. And I think being strong and doing some sort of martial art and doing some sort of strength training can only help. So honor God, think big, and we'll chat again soon. Keep well.